Three Rivers Stadium, Pittsburgh, 1972. The Steelers had reached their first championship game, while the Miami Dolphins were attempting the unthinkable, a perfect, unbeaten season. Pittsburgh led by a touchdown and had forced Miami to kick, or so everyone thought. But Dolphin punter Larry Seifel, number 20, thought otherwise. Pro football's two best teams of the decade saw a game turn on a single play, and the Dolphins made history with their perfect season. 7 years later, in 1979, the setting was the same, the results were not. The Dolphins were in the playoffs for the 7th time, but they were up against the vaunted steel curtain of the defending world champions. And while the Steelers permitted glimpses of the old glory days, when the Dolphins threatened seriously, the Steelers brought the curtain down just as seriously and moved on to their 4th Super Bowl championship. For the Dolphins, it was a time to ponder what might have been. Following an unbeaten preseason, Don Shula's Dolphins began the 1979 season in Buffalo, where Miami's new name defense limited the Bills to just 5 first downs. In his official return to the Dolphins, Larry Zonka hammered out enough crucial yardage to carry Miami to a 19th consecutive victory over Buffalo, and set the stage for the home opener against the Seattle Seahawks. The defense came up with 3 important interceptions, one by 13-year veteran Bob Matheson, and following a Larry Gordon deflection, another by linebacker Ernest Rowe, number 55, while the third was snared by left cornerback Gerald Small, number 48. While the defense was holding the explosive Seahawks to just 10 points, Bob Greasy fired his first touchdown pass of the season to Nat Moore, and another to 10-year veteran fullback Norm Boulash, as the Dolphins racked up victory number 2. Week 3 found the Dolphins in Minnesota, where the defense delivered its 3rd consecutive stellar performance, allowing no touchdowns and effectively scrambling the game plan of quarterback Tommy Kramer. Don Strock relieved an injured Bob Greasy at quarterback and led the Dolphins to a 20-point fourth-quarter blitz, which included scoring passes to Jimmy Cephalo and to an unattended Larry Zonka, as Miami rumbled on to victory number 3. Returning home against the Chicago Bears, Don Strock continued to bomb away, as for the 4th straight week, the slow-starting Dolphin offense had to come from behind with 28 points in the second half. But the story of this game was that number 34, Walter Payton, was held in check by a defense led by tackle Bob Baumhauer, while Larry Zonka ran wild with 3 touchdowns for Miami. All season long, John Sandusky's offensive line did a superb job of clearing the road for Carl Tasseff's offensive backs. Guards Ed Newman, number 64, and Larry Little blasted holes open, while number 67, Bob Kuchenberg, and centers Jim Langer and rookie Mark Dennert helped to protect their quarterback. Tackle Mike Current, number 71, finished his 13-year career in style, while Eric Loxo and rookies Cleveland Green, Jeff Taves, and top draft choice John Giesler awaited their chance to open the way for breakaway backs like Gary Davis, number 27. Despite injuries, number 24, halfback Delvin Williams, rambled through enemy territory for almost 900 yards of total offense and was as adept as ever at following lead blockers like number 66, Larry Little, still a devastating force after 13 pro seasons. The slashing style of Delvin Williams was the perfect counterpoint to the personality of Miami's other principal ball carrier, a fullback named Zonka, whose style is about as subtle as a punch in the nose. Larry Zonka battered and banged his way to 6th place on the NFL's all-time rushing list with over 8,000 career yards and made his 4-year absence all the more conspicuous with his remarkable 1979 season. The Zonk was back in the Miami offense, but injuries to Bob Griese and Don Strock caused problems in Week 5 in New York. Griese returned from a hamstring pull and threw touchdowns to Bruce Hardy and number 81, Jimmy Cefalo, but mistakes cost the Dolphins, and the Jets won a thriller 26-20. The next division battle was the rematch with the Bills and league-leading passer Joe Ferguson. The ingredients for victory were the same as they had been in the season's opener in Buffalo: tough defense and the running of workhorse fullback Larry Zonka. The Dolphins defeated the Bills for an NFL record 20th consecutive time, a sweep of the 70s, and headed for Foxborough, Massachusetts, and a mid-season showdown for first place in the AFC East. Bob Griese had the Miami offense in overdrive during the first half as he mixed medium-range passes with a breakaway running of Delvin Williams to build a 13-0 lead over the New England Patriots. The Patriots turned the game upside down in the second half with 28 consecutive points and the victory they needed to take over undisputed possession of first place in the AFC East at the season's halfway point. The disappointing loss in New England was just one of the frustrations during the 1979 season. The offense in particular had its share of frustrating moments, and all 6 losses during the regular season were close ones which could have been won but weren't, such as the Monday night games with the Oakland Raiders and the Houston Oilers. And the sudden death loss to the Cleveland Browns. And the pair of turnover tournaments with the New York Jets. Of course, 79 also had its share of encouraging signs. such as rookie Uwe von Schauman's rapid development as a place kicker, who is both powerful and accurate. Von Schauman's skyscraping kickoffs were a key factor on Steve Crosby's special teams. Led by number 46, Don Bessadou, the kamikaze squads were loaded with hitters like Mike Kozlowski, Glenn Blackwood, Steve Howell, Mel Land, and number 54, Ralph Ortega. Punter George Roberts averaged over 40 yards per kick and boomed one for 68 yards, a Miami record for net yardage. At the other end of the punting game was number 22, rookie Tony Nathan, who followed excellent blocking for 86 yards against Buffalo for the longest punt return in Dolphin history, and the conference leadership in punt returns for the 1979 season. Bill Arnsparger's defense carried the team for much of the season in '79, while permitting the fewest touchdowns in the entire NFL and missing the rushing defense title by a mere 10 yards. The key to the Dolphin 53 defense was the linebacking core. At the inside linebacking positions were number 56, five-year veteran Steve Toll, who ranked second in tackles among Dolphin linebackers, and another five-year veteran, Rusty Chambers, number 51, who again led the team in tackles and who possessed the rare ability to bring down an Earl Campbell with just one hand. At outside linebacker was Larry Gordon, number 50, the four-year veteran who gobbled up any ball carrier who dared to venture into his area. The other outside backer was number 58, Kim Bocamper, the 6'6" designated blitzer, who was voted to the Pro Bowl in just his third professional season. Tom Keene's defensive backfield consistently played with intimidating intensity. One of the leaders on the Dolphin hit parade was third-year cornerback Norris Thomas. The leading ball hawks were free safety Neil Colsey, number 20, and second-year cornerback Gerald Small, number 48, each with 5 interceptions. The elder statesman of the secondary was strong safety Tim Foley, whose leadership and tenacity earned him Pro Bowl recognition in his 9th NFL season. Mike Scarry's defensive line started the season with number 77, A.J. Dewey, at end. But Dewey was hobbled by an injury early in the season, and given the chance to start, number 75, Doug Betters, made the most of the opportunity. The tackles were Carl Barisic and Bob Baumhauer, number 73, who anchored the line at nose tackle and was named a Pro Bowl starter in his third pro season. At left defensive end was the steady 9-year veteran Vern Den Herder, number 83, who led the Dolphins with 9 quarterback sacks and was named by his teammates as most valuable player. As Larry Zonka said during the season, maybe the best thing about our defense is that we don't have to play against them. After 11 weeks of the season, the Dolphins led the league in total defense, and Don Shula's injury-thinned offensive team was primed to explode. Bob Griese was still plagued by a sore hamstring, but he found number 82, Duriel Harris, for 10 receptions and 180 yards, both records for a Miami receiver, as the Dolphins routed the Green Bay Packers 27-7. The next division opponents were the Baltimore Colts, and the league's top-ranked defense shut out the Colts with 7 sacks, 4 of them by Vern Denher, while Bob Griese revived an old weapon with 2 touchdowns to Nat Moore. But injuries continued to chip away at the Dolphins' depth as Nat Moore's big day was dampened by bruised ribs. And the next time the Dolphins and Colts met, Bob Griese came off the bench in relief of a dazed Don Strock and pinpointed other weapons, Duriel Harris and third down receiver Tony Nathan. The Dolphins outlasted the Colts 28-24 to sweep the season series with Baltimore and set up a final confrontation for first place with New England. But who was Don Shula's quarterback now? Don Strock had ignited the team with repeated fourth-quarter heroics and had recovered from a knee injury. Bob Griese had shaken out of a slump with a winning effort at Baltimore and never lost confidence, while Guy Benjamin earned his letter by waiting in the wings. Griese's top performance of the season was a 17-for-22 passing show against the Detroit Lions. Throughout the year, whoever the quarterback, Dan Henning's receivers remained uniformly excellent. Although tight end Andre Tillman broke a leg in preseason, rookie Ronnie Lee earned a spot on the roster, and number 84, Bruce Hardy, became a tight end who could find the open spaces. Wide receivers Duriel Harris and Nat Moore combined for a team record 90 receptions and almost a mile of yardage. And Nat Moore broke all of Paul Warfield's Dolphin career receiving records with a dazzling display of quicksilver moves and flashing feet. When Nat Moore and Duriel Harris were both healthy, the Miami passing attack had the capability of opening up any defense in pro football. At last, it was showdown time with New England. The Dolphins' new name defense was prepared for a showdown. The offense also was primed, with Don Strock to start and Bob Griese ready if needed. 75,000 Miami faithful were ready too, and they joined a national TV audience to witness two of pro football's finest teams in a classic confrontation, with first place the prize at stake. The early going did not make pleasant viewing for Dolphin enthusiasts. The Patriots had the lead, but the Miami defense pulled itself together and defused quarterback Steve Grogan and the powerful New England attack. No matter which way Grogan turned, he found an aggressive Dolphin defender awaiting his every move. In the second half, 34-year-old Bob Greasy emerged from a cloud of skepticism and evoked memories of title drives past as he completed 8 of 10 passes and whipped the Dolphin offense into a 24-point frenzy against one of the NFL's toughest defensive teams. Larry Zonka scored 3 touchdowns for the second time in the season and proved himself to be pro football's most intimidating fullback. Head coach Don Shula had again demonstrated why his record was one of the best of all time. And Dolphins owner Joseph Robbie once again could take pride in a winner. For the Dolphins were once again champions of the AFC East. The Dolphins had won their 5th division title of the decade and had once again demonstrated their dedication to reach for greatness in the world of pro football.